Also, I'd like to welcome everybody to the first of the Southern Village Planning Commission. And so we'll start, go through our agenda today. The first item is the Pledge of Allegiance. So we'll
pledge
so
allegiance
pledge
to
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
to the
and to the
republic
republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty and
and
justice
justice
for
for
all.
all. Okay, we're gonna roll call. So Mela Martin, she couldn't make it. I think her husband had some health issue today. Michael Anderson,
Present.
Christian Pico,
Right.
Michelangelo Lieberman. Okay, and myself, Chipper. Okay, we're gonna review the previous meetings. Jolie, you were saying May meetings were approved?
No, it was. I just, the only, it needs to be, sorry. You were absolutely right. June and July need to be, if you
Okay,
guys
so-
feel inclined to do so.
Can we make a motion to approve June, July?
Having read it and edited both of them, I can second that motion.
Okay, very good. So we'll, as edited with the edits from Christian.
I also edited the first one, June anyway.
Okay,
I
great,
sent
thank you
it
much.
edited. Did you guys receive that? Okay.
Okay, great, thank you so much. So, just want to bring down the agenda. We wanted to, now we have raised the number of members of the Planning Commission to 5. I don't know if it has been ratified by the trustees, but there's any. I think we're in agreement. 5 is a good number. Are we all in agreement?
Yeah,
To make this recommendation. So we'll make a recommendation to the Board of Trustees to change the code so it reflect the number of members in the PCC commission is 5. I'm not sure if we mentioned it last time. Michael Anderson has now been appointed as a town liaison for the village. I think Michael, you're going to ready to Jay Schneiderman?
Manger and myself heading on July 17th, and Bill introduced me to Jay as a village liaison, who gave me a Janice Shira to contact and to make inquiries with her.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, Janice is Jan actually, long time ago to be on the village board, I think. So yeah, she's definitely very familiar with the village. The next item we have here is other organizational discussions and meetings, and so we met with both Lenz and Eddie and Mayor Banger, and asked us specifically to look into a few items, which I would like to bring up. One of them is to improve health coverage within the village of Southampton. There's really big for those who do not have Verizon. Verizon coverage is really, I think very good in the village, but anything else, because they use a special band. And anybody else who has TNT or ONS suffer from not such a good regime. So we'd like to try to study the improvement of the coverage. I'd like to maybe ask for volunteer among us just to look into it.
So Mark, I'm here heading that exercise. I've already take a presentation. We had a lot of work in the last week in terms of the decision we're taking, and I can update this group when ready.
Okay, fantastic. So I will give you some names of I know an attorney who has extensive experience in negotiating leases for cell towers. That could be definitely help you, and it could be much of a generate additional revenues for the village, while at the same improving the sales. The question is where to put the antenna, what kind of antennas to put, and also take advantage of maybe fiber optic that's in some areas of the village district.
So when this group is ready, I'll be to share with you where we are, and we're quite far along in its thought process on that.
Okay, great. So maybe we can schedule this for September. You think so? Or October?
We'll have probably we'll have a lot by September. We have a ton today in terms of work we have already done and spoke to a number of consultants. We're going to be speaking to the town of East Hampton, which has just completed with Scope consultants out of Greensboro, who had a long conversation with this morning, a full master plan, and we'll be speaking to town supervisor Monday about that, see if there's anything to learn. We've also spoken the recommendation of Harry Weeds, who's our consultant for DPW with ENS Advanced Network down in Philadelphia. Bob Jellison, who with City Scope Consulting, going to give us some scope in consulting work that we've considered. Just generically, and the rest of the mission, to understand, we have 4 cell towers village and a massive deficiency in the southern and west part of the 6.5 square miles. We have tower on the hospital, which broadcasts to the west and the north, covers actually up to Village Hall. We have a large tower just east of the railroads on Marina Drive. Actually, the address is 23 Powell Avenue. That is a very good and solid tower on which all 3 operators are. That again broadcasted to the west, the north, mainly. And then we have a tower by just west of McGee. Think of it east of the end of the Southampton driving range. There's also there again. We services County 39. What all operators have done is to position the antennas to really service with the pop density is, which is right along County 39, and they haven't spent any time broadcasting to, as I said, the southwestern part of the village. We also have Verizon with the mini towers on Coopers. It's working, but it doesn't solve the problem. You said correctly, Mark. Verizon is not so much the issue 9 months of the year. It is AT&T and T-Mobile. Verizon, it is an issue from Memorial Labor Day in terms of density hits on the towers. Sometimes you can't get on. So there is a need to complement that for Verizon. There's clearly an issue with AT&T and T-Mobile in terms of broadband within the village. Those who have it, and that's about 50%. Verizon has about 48% market share. That's getting this from a survey that East Hampton did, and the demographics are the same in Southampton. 48%. T-Mobile is 50%, and the balance is AT&T. So really, actively, more than 50% of our population are having issues of not congestion, just getting onto a tower that does exist in their neighborhood. So that's what we're going to try to solve for Verizon. We can implement what's called a COW, which is a cell tower on hills, and put maybe near an EMS center we have, whether it's VP or conversation to be had with the department, that would solve temporarily the issue for Verizon in terms of congestion, and maybe sure that COW could all address T-Mobile and AT&T until solve for a tower, which can be either up in Village Hall. We're going to have conversations with the Verizon people at the end of the month. They need to, do anything on top of Village Hall, it's gonna have to have three operators in there. It cannot be Verizon. Or alternatively on the MS sites, or elsewhere in the village, but it has to be positioned Village Hall or to the west of the Covenant. So we're speaking to consultants, getting bids in terms of services. We have to say we need to RFP or not. We're gonna start having a look. Spoken with some of the tour operators. AMTT won't even have a conversation with us. Crassel said, you know, you got AT&T to agree to come on a tower. After that, we can work you. So different short-term solutions to address here, and we're pretty well advanced process. But
Okay,
any additional things that ideas that we'll have in the consulting area for cell towers, we really would welcome that. Cellsites is another consultant. They provide cows. It's one example. And again, are used when you have Super Bowl, for instance, density, pop city shows up in an area. Cows are used, and they're very useful, but sort of temporary.
It's very good. Thank you so much for the report. I mean, I think we should also look into the Wi-Fi, be able to now more and more calls are going through Wi-Fi, which is, and we have the fiber optics in some areas of the village, so we could easily also nice Wi-Fi network.
You're absolutely right. The public, so that people understand what this is new technology. AT&T and Verizon offers in. Think of it as a giant hot at home, which will work off a 5G tower with a router. That it is an alternative to Optimum service. So it's nice to have a second supplier for your service at home, and then maybe some competition. So we'll look at that as well. If you need to think of the phases. We need to deal with a crisis today, and then phase two is really with cognitive technology. You're absolutely right.
Thank you.
Chris, I have a question. The three cell towers that you referring to, are they privately owned, or none are owned by the village currently, right?
No.
They all have land.
No.
They have, for instance, one on Powell Avenue. I was looking at it this afternoon. Capital Tower Holding out in New Jersey. What the owner there did is simply delegate a private to a company to sort out both the construction, the operation, the contract with the three operators there. So none of them own the village.
Right.
No.
And if we were able to put a cell tower on let's say on the hall, a substantial amount of revenue. I mean, those operators pay like, I think, $15,000 a month.
Yes, but Southampton Village, because of its low pop density outside the tourist season, Memorial to Labor Day, is a terribly attractive market. So they're not going to fall over them to pay for that. Really today, focusing on County 89, where most of the density is.
Okay. All right, Bill, I have a few items on the agenda here, but I'm going to insert two other items that we were asked by the trustees to look into. Is being able to come up with some regulations that help the village to be able to develop some workforce housing. And also the trustees have asked us to come up with a report that sort of summarizes exactly what has the village signed on when they signed for the community housing fund with the town. I had some discussion with Karabakh, who is in charge of the community housing fund. No funds have come in yet. There has been some, it started April 1st. It's been 0.5% of every real estate transaction. Funds are being gone to the county, but the county has not yet redistributed the funds to the various funds. So one question that I had for county was that will the funds that coming from the village, will they be reinvested in the village, or will they be are going to have a say on those funds? And this is still up for discussion right now. Not quite clear where there will be apportionment with town of East Hampton, town of Southampton, Southhold that have this additional tax, but the funds are then redistributed. It's not quite analyzed. They have a group of 17 people. We have one representative, 17 advisors that will review the options for the essence, the use of those funds. And again, it's not quite clear how those will be used, whether they will be used for new development, whether they will be for assistance for first-time buyers, or whether they will be for simply persistence and so on and so forth. So it's something that we'll look into. Anybody who wants to, I will be putting together this report for the trustees, and my goal is to present it in September, maybe right after our meeting, so we can review it and then make a presentation to the board of trustees.
Okay, I have a question for you. On the appropriations of funds, do you think there is a difference between the CDF and the CHF in terms of appropriation of the funds, allocating those who are contributing? We know very well that Southampton Village is contributing a lot to the CPF fund and didn't get as much as put in. Be expected. You think there's a process that's going to be any different with HF than CPF?
Well, it's still up for grabs, but right now, no. There is no difference between how the funds will be allocated under the CCF from how they are being allocated right now under the CPF. They want to commingle all funds that go in Southampton, and then that board, that 17-member advisory board, will decide where which applications or the funds will be used. I don't think there's an allocation per se. I mean, there are some affordable housing development that are being proposed very close to the village, on major path. Or down on 39. So these would be developments that, as the village, we will definitely support, because it would benefit people who work in the village because of its proximity. So we'll work on this report to the board of trustees. The next item that we're asked to look into is the quality of life issue. Has to do with the fine, the enforcement of local regulations. So here we'll come up with a way to, from where it's the people throwing household garbage in public garbage bins, or to excessive noise, other areas of concerns. Right now, there is very little. There are very few fines that have been imposed on this type of violation. Basically, I have reviewed the fine given by the court, and really 19.9% or 99.5% relate to vehicular violations. None of them are really related to the code. So I think that anybody wants to get involved on this, that has Michael, would you like to look into it with me?
Gotta give Michael something to do. It'd be great.
Exactly. So you'll work with this.
Which Michael you're referring? I have more interest in the affordable housing situation.
Wonderful housing. Yes. The affordable housing, okay, fine. So we'll work on the affordable housing report to the town hall. But would like to Michelangelo to maybe help me also in the fines and enforcement. That we should have some ideas to the
Sure.
all the enforcement. So the next item that I have here on the agenda was the creation of bid or other of which is a business improvement district for the village business district. And Elder Scott, who used to be a member of the planning commission, has volunteered to spearhead an effort to maybe put together a group of retailers and try to add some dynamism and add some more coordination of events and so forth and sign and try to the village business district more attractive. So like to very much welcomes Eldon's effort on that, and I hopefully maybe that next meeting will come and make a presentation. So I would like anybody among us, or I will ask them to also involved to ask if the planning can help in it. The next point was that, and I think Lance and Anthony, who is the board of trustees, mentioned, and wanted to try to make continue along the line that Christian had done with a tree effort to make the village a USA, to try to come up with a greener regulations and to the more sustainable village. I think maybe Michael, if you want to spearhead that,
Sure.
to try to come up with ideas of how whether it's cycling. Right now, for example, there is no mandatory recycling. Recycling is pretty difficult in village.
Take a look at the comp plan and see what recommendations are there, and see which are commitments or projects or some
Yeah,
site.
exactly. There was one of that I thought that should be included, is that when we demolition, that all construction and demolition they will be taken to
Like a reuse.
to transfer station and recycled center. Exactly.
There was something down partnered with Habitat for Humanity for some program. I think it's still going, but it's one day a week on a day where people are working. So I don't know. It didn't really.
This Habitat for Humanity, it's a different type of recycling that they are trying to reuse items.
Right. So you would be breaking down the home and be sent to the train station, and then Habitat for Humanity would process that and sell it in their storage island, kind of like a sharing of the wealth scenario, which actually makes a lot of sense. It's just we were only doing the town on a Wednesday or between hours of X and Y, and so a lot of the public is available to off material at that time. There's a similar project or program that's actually really successful.
Yeah. So exactly these regulations, or maybe try to promote them solar panels, houses. Now that there are new types of solar panels, that are tiles that are really less obtrusive. So we should try to look into that.
Mark, I'd like to ask a question to Michelangelo. On the subject of green footprint, you were quite passionate last about NY Serta.
Yeah.
And disappointed that the village administration never followed up on any of it. What are your thoughts there? Because that's really an important part of the equation for this green footprint, beyond sort of the, sort out your bottles and your plastic. It's nice, but that really has impact, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I think it's the number might be, let's say 2/3 of carbon emissions built environment. So we are in this rare scenario where we can make code amendments that reduce or make homes more efficient, which essentially reduces carbon. The code amendment we pursued last year was the stretch code, which sought to stretch the New York State Buildings Energy Conservation Board. Town was successful in adopting that. The village did not. Although problem now at this point almost makes it complicated for builders, because you have two municipalities that are abutting one another with a different energy conservation rather than being linked. But yeah, that would be something to pursue as well.
So Michelangelo, why not raise your hand and say, I want to put this back on the table when we're talking about, green foot. For me, that's one that has the biggest impact and the most obvious one to focus, where you have really good knowledge.
Well,
I think
to answer your question, Mark, if I could, because I heard that from the mayor. That, as if we're thinking what we want to do, and it really was the administration want us to focus on. I'm told to focus on workforce housing. So that's where my focus has been.
That's fair enough. I agree. That's fine.
So if the mayor has interest in, then I would welcome visiting in this topic.
But I think that we should, as part of this greening, try to make the regulations greener. I think that maybe we could take some of the items from the stretch code, and maybe not all of the items from the code. The stretch has a lot of also double-edged sword, where the actual increase the cost of the building substantially. So it's also a big issue.
Well, according to NYSERDA, it's after 5 or 6 years. I haven't been looking at this document in a while. That money, you make investment back. But I don't. There are portions of stretch code that are optional. I can almost quote it. It's Appendix C. But sure. Again, if the administration is interested in this, I would love to visit it. As a climate smart community program has dozens of recommendations to help community get more green. NYSERDA is really focused on energy, whereas climate community is kind of all encompassing. But we if that's where they're interested, I can address and get some recommendations.
I mean, the meaning.
So I think what you're saying is that we should really be focusing on the three areas that we've been assigned to by the board of trustees as a commitment, which is wireless, workforce housing, and code enforcement, and not spend time on other stuff.
Yeah. If the rest is ancillary or second and past projects, it's fine. At the same time, we have to be showing a deliverable with the we've been assigned.
I agree.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So the next item on the committee on the agenda is the update on affordable housing. So I think we touched upon it already, and I hopefully will try to have a presentation by Kara back at our next meeting. Next item on the agenda is the Sewer and Wastewater Committee update. So we had a meeting with the Sewer and Wastewater Committee, the village, and still ongoing. There's still discussions there. There's still, I think that maybe we will report on it at the next in September. I think there is. I think we need to look into all kinds of abilities.
Well,
visit.
Comment on this committee. We had a meeting with them, and again, we put a lot of different ideas, and obviously they're exploring a lot of options. But they made it pretty clear that they too would need some assist, or how we can assist them is with affordable workforce housing, and looking at that could shape the community. What kind of code amendments would benefit sewer district and workforce housing? So again, it kind of falls in line with the mayor's agenda.
Right, but I think that yes, it's true. But there's some. I believe that the sector also there's a need and a requirement for health issues, to have a sewer district in the low-lying area of the village on William Lane. The benefit that sewering that area would do to allow additional housing is like a benefit, but with climate changes, with the rising water of the groundwater, that area needs to be sewered. I mean, at the last storm that we had just a few weeks ago, the restaurants in that area had to close because their septic systems were overflowing. So it's a real issue, and then it goes straight into Lake Chicago. So I think that that's an issue that needs to be addressed. I think this is the first priority, and that's maybe we phase the sewer and concentrate it in that area. But I think we're having this discussion with all these. I know that we're not everybody agree right now. I think the health discussion.
Well, I think, Mark, everyone can agree that this current administration has carried what previous administration has done is to have a specific task force dedicated to the sewer, and therefore for them to do it. And if they need any or in, they'll call upon us. But we shouldn't be working on this and duplicating work that's done and perhaps even contradictory. We have to be careful with that. It's a remit, and we shouldn't just go into there and it just doesn't make sense.
No, I absolutely agree. But what happened in the last, Paul has been leading the effort, and I know that he spent a tremendous amount of time. I mean, I really commend him for that. But I think that the direction that they have taken is sort of hit a couple walls, and maybe it's time for us to reopen the debate and see new direction, new ideas, new possibilities, new thoughts. I know it's hard when you have worked on something for a couple of years, 2 years, to suddenly change the direction. But I think we should be open.
I think in light of what we've been saying all night is stick to the 3 topics that were assigned.
Yeah. No, I understand. And the 3 topics are in topics, but I think there's other topics that people want the village to address.
Also don't know how the mayor's allocating its resources to address those other topics. As one of the resources is the elected officials, we haven't been assigned the sewer.
No, this I realize that. I think that the idea was that to offer what I was doing was offering planning commission to probably help the sewer task force, especially now Antoinette is now part of the board.
I understand. And when we met them, they were pretty clear. They want us to also work on work housing.
Yes, I understand. But these 2 separate topics. Workforce housing, the sewer is.
But they didn't ask for assistance on the sewer.
Well, okay.
All right, I guess we keep moving.
Yeah, let's move. I mean, so that we don't have to necessarily agree on everything. Okay, I appreciate it. Next one was on the battery storage, the item 7 agenda. So we understand that there is no moratorium on this battery storage of a county, and the lead agency for the battery storage will be the county planning commission, which is a place because electric power is an issue in Suffolk County. There is a tremendous amount that if we don't do something about, we will have brownouts and maybe blackouts. The way the development is going in Suffolk County, and especially in our area in the Hamptons, they added a couple of years ago a third leg to an additional power line. It's really something that needs to be addressed. Is there somebody who want to talk about this on public?
Bob S.A., an old member of the Planning Commission. This week I ran into a chief from East Hampton, and I was asking him about the fire they had at East Hampton with the battery facility. He said, stay away from it. It's bad news. After the fire, I forgot how many hours it took. After the fire was out, the toxic chemicals were on the floor. They had to have specialists go in with special suits, and it took days for them to clean this stuff. And when it burned, they had to evacuate the area because the gas is poisonous. And I have one other thing I mentioned on the affordable housing. I think to make the path would probably be the route because the one on the highway is a traffic problem. Also, you're getting close to the Suffolk County well fields if they put a sewer treatment in there.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I think that there was a question whether we should address.
Saying it again.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot, Bob. But the issue with battery storage is that there's a need for battery storage, and battery storage is the next phase in power distribution. So we need to come up with a solution.
Yeah, but Mark, the problem is if it catches fire, they say a quarter mile away, which way is the wind blowing, they're poisonous gases. And if that battery system up there, it shuts all our roads down. So you can't go off this end of the arm, or you can't get on. Either way.
Bob, you know that they put a moratorium though.
Yes, I
Right,
sort
okay.
of a moratorium, but I just want people, because I ironically ran into the guy by accident. And he's an ex-chief, and he was just mentioned about it. He started telling me the whole story about what they had. Thank
No,
you.
Thank you, Bob.
We understand that the location is a very important element, but battery storage in itself we cannot avoid it. It be a way if we want to use renewable energy, we need to have battery storage. We need to have some kind of energy storage, whether it's battery or other way of storing the energy. So, so in this case, there is really decision on the part to be made because of this moratorium. Then the next items that we have here on the agenda was there was one item that I had discussed and I brought up before with that the Board of Appeal is reviewing, and it is part of the possibly part of the rezoning of Meadow Lane is the fact that we're on the oceanfront property. We are the very few village, if not the only village, that takes into consideration the entire property, even the property under the water, under the ocean, for purpose of calculating lot coverage and gross for area. And it's something to, and this is yielding large homes on that maybe have substantial amount on the water. Other jurisdictions normally use the coastal hazard coastal erosion line or the crest of dune. So we use the entire property. I don't know if anybody here has something about it, or would like to help the ZBA make a recommendation to the trustees to revisit these regulations.
I don't have any thoughts.
Did Greenwald, as chair of the ZBA, ask the opinions of the planning commission on the topic? They're well aware of the issue.
Yes, they are the one who actually
So why not just let that agency deal with it?
Excuse me.
Well, because the planning commission is the vehicle we make the recommendations for to also the forum to have the public give their opinion and evaluate whether it's warranted or not warranted. I think you can see. I see both the points. I see yes that to use the entire property, the property that's under the water, yields larger homes. But people.
If the ZBA agrees with you, they're gonna go through a public hearing for any changes, and the public have all its chances to admit opinions.
Right, but the ZBA reviews specific applications. So there would be there's like a conflict of interest if they start to be against some applications. See, if they start to suggest regulations that impact directly an application, I'm not sure that they are the proper forum for that. I think the Planning Commission is the proper forum to suggest, revise the regulations.
But Mark, you didn't have anything to say when the ARB suggested to change code 116. They did a couple of months ago, which were very good changes. So when you let the ZA do their own stuff?
Because there was a different, when they revised the 116, it was like a blanket type change that had to do with the fine enforcement. Whereas here, it really relates to there are specific applications for waterfront properties, and there's more and more of them. I think we are the proper forum for. I mean, we can discuss it, but I think that we are the forum to revisit this type of regulation.
Again, if one of the board of trustees agrees with that, fine. I'm sure anyone does.
Okay.
The mayor. That's the impression I have. But if you did differently and you have a sponsor amongst the five of them, fine. I'm not. You have a sponsor.
Right. Well, let me review that, and I'll circle back.
So if we're moving on to 8,
For-
or excuse me, number 8. for updates in the task force. I just have a question for us. You know, obviously we have the real estate task force, the mobility task force, and we're talking about workforce housing. There are recommendations within the concept plan that can be pursued that target workforce housing. So much to us is going to be considering creating another task force for workforce housing to figure out which of those code amendments and/or recommendations we can act upon, or we be pursuing them individually. Does that make sense? Because we do get a little granular when we start looking at code amendments and how, you know for the tree city code amendment, we just focused on it.
I think workforce housing, yes, definitely. Even the parking regulation in the village, where you are right now, there's a very stringent parking requirement for multifamily in the village, which is like, or else it's 1.5 car per dwelling unit. In the village would be two cars. So things like this are impediment to the affordable housing.
When I look at the specific recommendations in the comprehensive plan, and I'm just curious, has anyone dove into those yet? For workforce housing?
So Michelangelo, I think the book was very clear was in terms of the phases of this. They first want to understand the village's commitment to workforce housing, the mechanism of the CHF, and all of that. Before we so they have a full report, understand all this.
Yes.
And it sounds like around this table, we don't know all the mass of the topic. So they have a question for us to go get that. So that's going to take a little bit of time before we even begin from there into specific issues. And I think only be once we present to the trustee phase one that can discuss how to peel the onion on these two, as you're suggesting.
I'm not sure if it counts as phase two. I think they kind of simultaneously. We want to understand what the new community housing fund, how it works, right? But we should also be looking at the comp plan we just adopted, which has really strict recommendations on what the village could be pursuing. And when I talked to the mayor, it would seem like an overarching, we want to pursue workforce housing. I wasn't specifically told that we were only going through the town's capacity of the community housing fund. So,
but you cannot. But from a practical standpoint, you're going to develop affordable housing, real affordable housing, without rents coming from either the community housing fund or forms.
Again, I would ask: has anyone read the recommendations in the comp plan? Because they have code amendment recommendations. So code amendments in percent could take a year, 6 months. If we want to act on those recommendations, and then by the time the town is in place with grant mechanisms, we have code amendment. We have adjusted our zoning code to allow for this development where recommended. So that's why I'm saying move at the same time. I could list them all now, like.
Yeah. No, why don't you, since we thought that you were going to help me, or we're going to work together on putting together board of trustees. Let's discuss it together with you. Zoning is only one element of it.
Well, it's a big element for a municipality.
It's an element for affordable housing. Yes, it's only one element. The other element are rents and the subsidies, and then the third element is how you, what a compliance period is the and so forth. What kind of which population?
There are just specific code amendments that I think we should be aware of, and we should be discussing if something we want to pursue.
Right.
But Michelangelo, can I ask? So when you do this as phase one, to explain to the trustees how this all works, could you in phase one say, okay, out of your master plan, you have this code amendments. This is what we recommend to tackle this one first, that one first, and so get a direction.
That's not a bad strategy, and tie two together. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. So moving right along the agenda, because it's already 6:15. So, item number 9 is Alex Wallach with us. He had a doctor's appointment. He called me, and he said he had a doctor. So if he's not with us, he would mean that the historical structure reconnaissance survey is still going on. We still have not completed it. as to the village, local law 12 of 2022, recognizing the town license for home improvement in the village is fully executed, and we've already had, I think the town licensing review board already had some complaints against contractors village, so it's working right now. Item number 9.3 goes along what we had discussed before about requiring the demolition work to specify the TNT transfer station where waste would be taken into. And well, 9.4 will hopefully Alex will be with us next month in September. So moving along, on item 10, it was one thing that I think Christian mentioned, or maybe was interested, and I think was a very good idea to try to improve the transparency, and maybe I'm not sure which effort has been done in at that level. I follow up on that, Christian, or no?
Are you talking about the module, the building department for applications?
Either the module for also to have documents available in electronic format, such that we, there's more transparency, it's easier to access, whether it's a ZBA decisions, whether it's such that I could be a good thing to have more transparency and then have the information more available to the public.
So, looking this up, the discussion really for the liaison on the Board of Trustees Building Department, which used to be before it became Bill Manger, and we appreciated the effort again. He was very clear. As far as hours, for me, it's going to consume my time for the next 6 to 9 months. I do not have bandwidth to work on anything else.
Okay.
I do, stuff won't get. I need to be head on with particular topic and solve it. We just don't have the bandwidth dealing with this, nor is it trustee priority.
Well, okay. I mean, I think that if there are, we use Civic Plus, which is the same software that the town is actually using, and they have modules. I think that, I don't know, Michael Anderson would like to maybe look into it a little bit more.
Well, I can only speak to Charlene and see how not just the building, but what they're doing as far as putting records in some sort of computer format so we can look at it.
Yes.
That's a simple question.
So,
Exactly.
Michael, I'll make it easy for you. It's already happening. Everything is being digitized. It's done. So it's all digitized. I think the issue here is more for building department to use Civic Plus. To me, it's an initiative the building department had to talk to his liaison, whether he wants to have it or not, or his liaison would suggest.
All right. So we'll okay. So we'll Michael will follow up with Charlene, I think, and
Yeah.
see how else can we make it more available to the public. Yeah, I think.
I've got points I want to bring up.
Bob,
Bob,
SEC.
Mark, before you close the meeting, there's one thing I've been talking about. We need left-hand turning arrows on all village lights, especially the one on Job's Lane and Meeting House Lane. The light's green on Job's Lane stays red on Meeting House Lane. Very confusing. Should be left-hand turning arrows. All of village. Another one is David White's Lane, Hampton Road. Should be left-hand turning arrows there. They should all left-hand turning arrows on all of them. The other thing is I noticed that they put walks up Captain's Neck Lane, but there's no sidewalk there. The sidewalk ended Halsey Neck. The sidewalk should be extended wherever those crosswalks are, because putting the crosswalks in without the sidewalks. The other thing I want to mention is that Meeting House Lane is a main area for ambulances and fire trucks. They have one side of the street parking. Years ago, we never had any problem with vehicles parked on the south side. Now, you've got the landscape trailers, you've got cars parked there, making it a very, very tight road. That road should be made no parking both sides from Main Street to Lewis Street to keep that artery. And this is an observation just over the years.
I think that has a little bit to do with the construction occurring.
Yeah, but the trouble is, if you look at some of these houses they're building, the driveways used to back of the house to the garages, and you look now, they don't go in the back anymore, and yet they have five bedrooms, and they invite guests there. They might do cars, but then you 3 cars out in the street, and this is the problem. You want to look at a problem? To Halsey Street, on the corner of White Street. There's a house up there. There's 5 or 6 cars backed up the whole time. Or you drive down that street with landscape trailers. And there's times that I have to wait for the other guy to get through, so there's only one car, one side. And it's something you should have looked at.
These are good points.
The one more thing I came up, Mike, and this is more for you. If they don't extend Sunrise Highway, there's an idea I came up with. Now, I don't know if this will float. Is you should put concrete divider, Shinnecock Hills, all the way to Bridgeham or Possmont, and every light you put an overpass. So the amount of condemned properties would be minimized except for where the lights are, and having a 4-lane highway all the way through. The only problem is I haven't figured out how you get to Hampton Road, County Road 39 ties together. That's kind of a confusing corner there.
There's a lot of problems in that proposition.
Yes. This is something I thought about, but think about the different intersections as to how would you get through these intersections.
Yeah. 4 lanes.
But from if they extended North TV Road to Hampton 4 lanes, and Watermill all the way through Watermill 4 lanes, all the way to Hampton 4 lanes.
We just have more people, more traffic.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes it's not the solution. The solution is to have better public transportation.
And housing where people will work.
Yeah, yes.
You're not going to tell you these billionaires, as we have, they're going to have to take public transportation. I got another thing coming for you.
Yeah.
Well, no, I think that people who live work in hospital or work in restaurants, they could very well take public transportation. But we cannot, right? There's only 2 trains. Even people from Hampton who live in Hampton Bay did not come to Southampton, Southampton Village with a train. There's only 2 trains.
Mark, another idea.
Alex Wallach is one of the prime example. He works very well commute by train, but he can't. There's not enough train.
The other thing I came up with, if railway stations had an area where tradesmen can park their truck, plumbing local trucks so they won't get robbed. But the train service got to match to the schedule, and that's the problem. Where if they're working in East Ham, they work in Bridgeham or Southampton, park their truck, they get on it, and they only have to drive a miles to the job, not being on the main road.
Well,
Then you have to find an area where you can put stuff.
Yeah. There was an idea of us creating a sole train that would go from Eastport all the way to Talk and back and forth. The problem, we only have one line, so we
that idea isn't so. And they've thought about
if
that.
If you create like a parking right somewhere, you could make a big parking lot for that truck someplace in the town.
But it has to be secure where they won't rob.
Yeah,
Right. Wayne Scott,
I
I think they contemplated it. It's almost like you need to look at university traffic circulation patterns, right? 50,000 people show in one couple hour block.
And the last thing I want to mention, that none of you board members here, when we talked about Moon Radin brought it up first, parking garage in the village. And of course, Moon brought it up the first time, everybody looked like I had a couple of heads. And then I started to see parking garages in Florida that you didn't know there were parking garages. But look at our outlying area is growing tremendously. And this is we're the main commercial hub. So we're going to have to eventually get more parking. The only way to do it is no.
But there's also opportunity for mixed use incorporated into that parking garage, which, gets more alleys and more little pocket parks. There's a lot of opportunity to kind of enhance town, but that's other conversation.
Sammy Seamack, when he was on, came up with an idea of a parking garage in West Main Street, but the first floor being commercial space, and the rest of it overhead. But that's something the village is gonna have to look at some point. I'll be around, I'm 80 years old, I don't know how much more time I have left.
Okay, thanks, Bob.
Thanks,
Really
Bob.
appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Hey,
Okay.
Bob, I hope you have a lot more time, but let me make a suggestion, is that, for instance, your ideas of, left, signal, et cetera, are all good ones in the forum that they are public sessions for the trustees, during which you speak about this, because expressing the planning commission is going to get you anywhere. And those are really solid ideas. Talking about Jones Lane, etc. Go to the every month, Tuesday and Thursday. One of them is work session. The other one is public comment. Go to the public comment one and just make a point to keep coming back on that with it, because these are very good ideas.
Well, a good example, it took me an hour to come from Sag Harbor Club back to Southampton. And Geese Street is the way I had to go, could take every back road. Light changes, they got a county road, Road 9. But there's left-hand turning arrows there. And I spoke to the chief of police, and she's been after the county years to put left-hand, and they just totally ignore her.
Okay.
And
This is
I also
one of
spoke
my-
to police,
I-
the local police, and they agree with me 100%. We need left-hand arrows.
So this is a forum to express that, and it'd be great if you could use that, which is those public sessions of the Board of Trustees. I forget if it's the Tuesdays or the Wednesdays, or Thursdays rather, but those are solid points.
Okay.
I'll make it
All
a
right.
point. I thought you guys would be with me, but I'm still here.
We're welcome.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Bob.
All right, so on those nice words from Bob, I'd like to maybe make a motion for us to adjourn and adjourn the meeting, and we'll have our next meeting scheduled for September 7th at 5:30. Do I get a second?
Second?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, and we'll